Yeah. First off, just want to thank all the subscribers. Appreciate you guys. Much love. So this interview was really a trip. I enjoyed this interview way more than I originally thought that I was. Honestly, I was like, okay, let me speak to homie. I don't know much about uh, dog breeding, dog grooming, or anything in that world, right? So I was more like, what am I gonna? How can I bring this to the table? What could I talk about, right? So that was something that I thought about, like, and I'm kind of just like the way I do it normally is I just let it flow. I just let it flow. I said, okay, I'm just gonna talk to homie. We'll see what's going on, and it actually ended up being a really good conversation. I initially planned about a 30-minute conversation, and we went over that. I really enjoyed this conversation. It's something that was unique and fresh for me. I thought it was a fresh perspective. It's something that I needed to hear, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So here we go. Yeah, you have a very special guest on the phone today. Could you do me a favor and introduce yourself, G?
Yeah, this is Arturo from Southtown SD.
Much love, G. Much love. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about a lot of different things today. So just off the top, though, I just want to know, what is it that your passion? What is it that you're doing that brought you to the show today?
So, yeah, so Southtown SD, that's my social media, Facebook, Instagram. It's been that way, and that's because of for 20 years. So my passion is dogs, man. The American Bully and pretty much in all bulldogs, but specifically the American Bully and the Shorty Bull.
Dope, dope. Well, let's take it back from the beginning, real fast. So let's go ahead and rewind it. See if we could find a little bit of what the inspiration was behind the dogs. You know what I mean? So, how was your life growing up?
Man, so I grew up around animals, around dogs. My family always had dogs. My uncle always had a pit bull. So I grew up around, shepherds, poodles, and all that. But there was always a pit bull around,
Mm,
and so I think growing up, and then at my grandma's too, she had all kinds of farm animals.
dope, dope. So, you know what I noticed with the pit bulls, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they tend to be like some of the most loyal fucking dogs out there that I've seen.
Oh yeah, bro. So when I got into the as an adult, when I got my first um pit bull pet where I was able to have a dog. Man, I was shocked at how bad the reputation was and how bad people looked at you, and it's just the mentality, and then just the media, the hype. And my experiences had always been the opposite, just growing up without even knowing. So once I got into the breed, I was really um pro education, and I was always trying to break those myths,
Yeah.
because yeah, everybody always thought that, man, esos perros, they're bad and this and that, bro. They just had a bad and then of course they associated those dogs with gangsters, with homies, with thugs, however you want to see it.
It's a trip because both could be looked at as misunderstood.
Exactly, bro.
Because if you think about it, right, right, and this might sound weird, but if you think about it, a pit bull is only as bad as its owner, right? If
Right.
you beat that pit bull, you torment that pit bull, you don't have any love or compassion for that pit bull, then yeah, the pit bull's gonna be fucking vicious because it's if its surroundings. Kind of the same thing with gang members. A lot of the reason why gang members are the way they are is because they've didn't have that compassion, that love, or anything, and it's like you can't expect somebody, any creature at all, you can't expect to not treat them with any kind of love or dignity and expect for them to be loyal to you and what you're doing.
Yeah, bro. Exactly. And then also just by the look, pit bulls look tough, they look mean, they look like, you know, they're all muscle, man. They look intimidating to people. And it's the same way with the homies, or with the raza. At times people see us a certain way, they watch too many movies, they and unfortunately everybody stereotypes, they stereotype, and most people want to play it on the safe side. Um, I encounter that all the time, man. But that's where the dogs come in, man. The dogs really break the ice with people a lot of the times.
That's dope. That's dope. So you grew up around, the street life, right?
Yeah.
And you said even on your time on the streets, there was always dogs everywhere around you. What was it that got you to focus on that on the dog portion of it to start breeding? Actually, even anything, just focus on the dogs. Period. At first, what was it that got you to do that?
Man, I've always had a dog. I would say the only time I didn't really have a dog, and I still did, man. I took some in and ended up giving them to homies here and there because I couldn't keep them. I wasn't around. But maybe only like 16, 17, 18. I think I was 20 when I started renting a small place, and then we got a dog. My grandma lived in southeast San Diego, and her neighbor had a litter of puppies, and so it just I saw the dogs. I was like, man, and I could do it at the time. I actually had a house, a yard. The landlord was cool with it, and I remember my ex-wife was like, she didn't grow up with dogs, so she's like, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna bathe it. Keep it away from me. Blah blah blah. And by the time we got home, she was already like in love with the dog. You know what I mean?
And you said
And
it
it
was
was a
it was
chocolate. It was a chocolate pit, man.
dope, dope. Yeah,
Mm,
that's what I chip out on. They can win you over, right? Because the dogs, like you said, it's a lot of times they don't even look mean. If you look at them, they just look like dogs. But
yeah,
it's what you think mean is. Then you kind of put that out there, right? Why is this a mean dog? It's a mean dog because they're vicious, because they're this, because they're that. But if you break it down, they're just fucking dogs, right?
man. I got a dog right now. No, exactly. I got a dog right now. Named Popcorn, the little cream one that is on my social media. Bro, I don't see what people see. People see her and they're like, "Oh, she looks mean," and I'm just like, "But it's my dog." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I've had people say that about me too. Like if I didn't know you, or you just look kind of mean. Or I've had people message me like, "How come you don't smile in your picture?" Stupid shit, right? Now, to me, I'm just like, man, I don't know how I look,
Why
but
don't you juggling or what?
I'm
Like, what
not
the
trying to
fuck?
look mean. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. So,
But
so you took in a dog. You took in a dog. That was your first ever dog. And did that, like, did you breed that dog or what happened there?
bro, so yeah, so check it out. So that dog is really important because so I get the dog. I had always heard people talk about papers, but I never knew what papers were.
Yeah.
So I go to work and I'm all excited about the dog. I tell everybody, and then so my coworkers like, "You got papers? Papers? What's papers, huh?" And he's like, "Come here, man." So uh, we had access to the internet at work. At that time, I worked in the office and I was a manager. And so we jump online and he starts showing me websites, bro. He starts showing me kennels.
Hmm.
And then he goes, "You see these dogs? They got papers, pedigree." So then you click on a pedigree, and the pedigree is basically just the genealogy. The
Ah,
mom, the dad, and then
yeah.
the grandparents and the great grandparents, and you go 3 generations, 7 generations. And then I'm like, whoa! So you could trace your dog, and AKC, UKC, ADBA, man, they go back 100 years, dog. So you could trace your dog back and see where your dog comes from, what
Damn.
breeders, what kennels. Yeah, bro. And so once he showed me that, bro, I was like, yeah, I want a dog with papers. And then not only that, but then I seen that there was uh I initially always wanted an all black pit bull,
Hmm.
but then I seen they had blue ones, bro.
Yeah, those are
So,
fucking badass.
so when I seen blue, I was like, a blue pit? I'm like, I only seen red pits, but a blue pit? So I'm like, man, I gotta get one. So this is how old it is back then, bro. I would look at the newspaper every Sunday because every Sunday in the newspaper, breeders would post what puppies they were selling here in San Diego. And so, no lie, man, for like 3 months, I'm looking at this every Sunday, every Sunday. They didn't even have it online yet, obviously, because I had to get the paper still. And finally I see an ad and it says Blue Pits. So bam, I'm there, bro, and I end up getting the pick male, which was a gray line dog, which is goes back to the Gotti bloodline, which is up in LA,
Mm.
Richard Barajas. But yeah, so I get my first paper dog, I get him, and then from there I just um graduated and to the show dog, to getting into show dogs. Because when I got my pedigree, I see on the pedigree a few generations back, champion and grand champion.
Yeah.
So who doesn't want to be a champion, bro? Who doesn't
Yeah.
want to own? That's the way I see it. So I'm like, what? I'm like, man, how do I get a champion? So at the time, they would send a magazine, Bloodlines magazine, which was UKC's magazine.
Hmm.
So um, again, that none of this was online yet. It was barely starting to come online a few years later. This is back in 1999 and 2000. And so again, in the magazine, there's kennels, people advertising. So I reach out and I get educated, and they tell me, well, you got to compete. You got to go to a dog show.
Yeah.
And at that time, the shows were in Riverside.
Oh, was this the first dog you had, or was it the one you bought?
This was the second one. So the
Okay.
first one had no papers, you know.
Yeah. So you
So
can't. Yeah. It's just a dog you loved, but it's
yeah.
the one that
So I
sparked the
ended up
flame. But
fixing her. Yeah, I fixed her. I never bred her because you're not supposed to breed non-paper dogs.
okay.
That could be a whole another topic. But yeah, technically you're not supposed to. You're supposed to breed only pedigree dogs. So
After
I
this, I
got
do
it.
want to. I do want to touch on a little bit when it comes to breeding. So definitely. But my bad. Continue, G.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I got her fixed, and then I ended up buying the pick male, that blue litter. But he was actually all white with just the blue patch. But his
Mm.
blood, the bloodline was from blue. You know, blue dogs. His mom and dad were both blue.
Yeah.
And then I got a black dog, and then so then I get to the show. You know, they educate me to tell me you got to go to the dog show. So I go to the dog show. I go to two shows, and the first one, the people weren't real receptive, weren't really trying to educate nobody. They were kind of just tripping, right? But the second time, it was a different club, and the dude who showed me everything I know, George Luna, he was there. I met him, and and he right away just breaks it down, bro, straight up. He's like, stack your dog. And I was like, stack my dog. I didn't even know what the fuck he was talking about. You know, he goes, bro, let me show you. And he just starts showing me, this is what you do, bro. He's like, bro, you got a bully. This ain't a show dog. So he just told me the truth. Nobody had told me anything. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's like, I didn't know nothing, and that's what I needed, bro. So he was a homie too. He was up from LA. So he seen me and he just showed love, dog. He was wearing a suit though. I couldn't tell at the time he was a homie because he was dressed real nice. Not until I heard him speak, and once we started talking, and he starts teaching me. So boom, one like I was hooked. Like George just barely showed me a little sample, and I watched this dude win the whole show.
Oh shit.
Like killing him, like damn. And then he shows me his dog, bro. He was a grand champion. I was like, holy shit. So of course, dog, I'm like, I want that too.
Yeah.
And so from there, that's when I just got into it, like all the way, bro. Like
So
I
let me rewind it a little bit.
yeah.
So you step into the first one. You said you're not really feeling welcome there. What was it that made you like? Did you feel like an outcast, or was it feel like just out of your element? Well,
Oh man.
how did you feel?
So check it out, man. So there was like 4 or 5 clubs, and the clubs were predominantly um white people.
Hmm.
And the George's Club was the only club that had Mexicanos, that had minorities. It had some black people too,
Yeah.
and it was the most diverse group. But yeah, it was mainly racism, bro, and it was racism not only like race, but also uh, um what you call that, just especially being a homie. Like at that time, like And then I found out later one of the clubs was like probation officers and sheriffs and this,
Ah,
so they were placas. But
yeah,
check, but it's a trip, bro, because even though they were that at the time and I didn't know, and at that time, um, uh, I was just in a good place. Like I wasn't in about that bullshit. I was just about the dogs.
yeah.
But I still, man, I had to put them in check, bro. And then I found out later, that was when I found out because they're like, "You did what?" I said, "Yeah, man, I had to just tell them, put them in their fucking place."
Yeah.
And then, she's a probation officer. I was like, I don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean shit to me. But
I ain't a
anyways,
fucking probation so what the fuck do I care?
exactly, yeah. Like I ain't a fucking kid, and this has nothing to do with that. You can't fucking use your fucking work bullshit. Anyways, man. But yeah, so. And you know what, bro? That has a lot to do with the bully world today, though, because I almost walked away, bro. Like at first, I wasn't even gonna go back.
That's what I was wondering. That's
Yeah,
what I was wondering because I was like, man, that shit must be because all right. This is the way I look at it, right? You step into a place. If you're welcomed in that place, if it's a welcoming, warm environment, you're gonna be more likely to return. But if you step into a place like you did, where it's kind of like a cold environment and people aren't accepting of you, then that could discourage a lot of people.
yeah, bro. So, and I'll say one more thing too. I want to give them credit. Powerhouse Kennels. It was a couple. I don't remember his name, man. I got their card somewhere, but he was I don't know if he was former SEAL or a SEAL at the time, but him and his wife were the at that one show where they were being all gacho and all this. Like I do remember they came up to us, they talked to us a little bit. They had some show leashes and collars, and then it started drizzling, and they were like, "Hey, come with us under our canopy," because we had our kids with us, and we weren't prepared. It was like our first show.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, they were good people, and then George, and then the other club, and there's tons of stories, but really in the beginning, um, yeah, it was almost like they did it on purpose to keep just people that were different away, bro, and it wasn't right.
Keep you out of the club. Yeah. So
So
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. My bad.
I was just gonna say, yeah. So I ended up joining the Southern California American Pit Bull Terrier Club, which was the club that George was in. And Barbara Marin and Cheryl Laram, um, originators like Cheryl Laram. She's still alive. I would really like to interview her one day, because she's the very first person to ever have a champion pit bull in UKC. So when she got into pit bulls, I think in the 70s, bro, she was just, same thing, bro. They had a really bad stigma, and she just proved
Mm.
everybody wrong and did a lot for the breed and started showing it in UKC. And yeah, she's a legend herself. She's
Dope.
and so I got a chance to meet her, Barbara Marin also. Like these ladies have been breeding like at this time, like already 20 years, bro.
Yeah.
So I was blessed to meet really, really high caliber, educated dog breeders. And then also all those clubs that I mentioned, two of those people are, regardless of their attitude or their if they're racist or not, they were all really good handlers, and they all had like California, bro, at that time had the top 10 almost best pit bulls, period. Like
Damn.
Cali had, um, and you could, all of this is documented. Like everything I'm saying, you could look up the records in UKC because, um, because of the clubs are ran like a nonprofit or an S corp. Everything there has to be minutes. There's board members and president, vice president, treasurer, sergeant at arms, all that, and everything has to be sent in and documented for it to be legit.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a trip, bro. Um, everything I say could be verified.
Dope, dope. So you're going through now. You're learning and are you breeding yet, or is it just you're just going showing your dog, getting her ready for shows?
Yeah, not so good question, man. Yeah, nah, I don't start breeding yet because so once I learn like the way it really works, I learned that you gotta you don't want to breed your dog like or It's all, everything is a preference. But
Mm,
if you want to better your bloodline, then you want to title your dog first.
mm.
So you want to show it, and so of course you want to get that champion or grand champion title and then breed her to another champion, grand champion. So now you have, when you sell those puppies, those you can say these come from champions, because there's people would say, oh, this is champion bloodline. Okay, let me see the pedigree. Oh man, the champion is 4 generations back. But yeah, you got, it's like trying to use the fame of your abuelo or a tío, oh, I'm so and so's, nephew, or so and so was my, okay,
Was
but
my grandpa's brother, kind
that's
of
a
thing.
little bit too
Yeah,
far from you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And I mean, maybe, and sometimes, it counts, but it's still not the same as saying, hey, the dad's a champion. He just champed out last year. The mom's a champion.
yeah.
Boom. So, bro, I ended up having dogs that were all pedigree. Almost every dog on there, a champion or grand champion. In the end, because, I went in that direction. So no, so I start showing, and since I was barely getting into it, I had to let my females mature, and I had to get them a title. That was my goal. It took me
What
two
what
years to show.
what go? Yeah, what goes into that? Like what do you have to do to get them a title? What kind of work does it take? How serious is it?
So so the club, okay, so yeah, I'll explain a little more on the club and how that works. So with a dog shows, through UKC, every registry is a little bit different, but it's very similar. So let's say we start a club, or like the club I was in, there's the structure, like I said, president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, sergeant at arms, and then you do minutes, you got to have meetings. So at that time, bro, the meetings were in Hesperia. So I was driving all the way to Hesperia on weekends, and then the dog shows were in Fairmont. So I was driving, and I live right by the border, right here, South San Diego. So it's 3 hours, 4 hours. It's a lot of driving. It was a lot of time and money. It's like any club, you're doing it because you like it. I wasn't making any money out of that at all. It was all expense, but I was learning.
Yeah,
And then so you do all of that. You submit a date to UKC. You find a location. It's like throwing any event. You got to find a location. You got to get insurance, and then you get the approval from UKC, and then you advertise it, and then you have the show. And there was a time where, man, there was a show every weekend. There was like 5 clubs. So, and they started doing like 3-day shows, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And to answer your question too, so to champ out a dog, the work that goes into it is you have to compete with, um first you go heads up with dogs. So if you have a 1-year-old male,
yeah,
you go against all 1-year-old males that show up that day. So if you beat that one, then you go against the winner of all the males. And then if you beat that one, you go against the winner of all the females. And if you beat her, then you got best of breed.
mm.
And then if there's multi-breed, then and you go and win, and you get best in show. But let's say you win one whole show. So you win a whole show, that's one, what they call like a leg towards being a champion.
Yeah,
And then but there also has to be competition in your age class. So let's say you enter, and there's no dogs from the same age, then that doesn't count. You got to beat competition.
yeah.
At the
You
same
can't just
time,
show up and win by default and be like, "This is a motherfucking champ right here."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and and that's what some people would do, and or they would get the ribbon and not understand the points, and so um yeah, man, and I mean, you could be the only dog, and the judge can give you third place and
oh
tell you,
shit.
and it's happened, yeah, and people be like, what? And then you got to break them down, like, hey, according to the breed, your dog doesn't meet the standard, and this is why. And then
She must
a
be.
lot of it's education, but the coolest thing, I want to say this before I forget, man. The coolest thing about showing dogs, for people that don't know and who've never done it,
Mm,
it's the only sport where a professional and an amateur can compete in the
mm,
same at the same time, because there's paid handlers, professional handlers, And but it doesn't matter. You can enter even if you've never shown before and compete and beat them. And you can't do that really in any other sport.
Yeah, you ain't
Pros
going.
and amateurs
Yeah, you ain't
don't
going into a
compete.
boxing ring and thinking you're gonna knock out championship
Yeah.
boxer. Yeah. So when you're preparing them though, like do you have to like putting them on treadmills? Are you putting weights on them? Like what do you do to prepare? Is there a special diet they have?
Mm. So yeah, bro. Everyone has their thing. A lot of it is genetics. I learned, man. I was just picking the brain of all these people, man. Um, I also had an experience. Man, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, so the eating and the training. So yeah, bro. So what I learned, is a lot of it, uh, giving your dog extra supplements, and then not necessarily exercise. Some people would do that. Would work them out a little, but again, it just depends what you're trying to do with the dog. Typically show dogs, they've got to be the standard, so you got to keep them in shape,
Mm,
but they can't be like a game dog. So a game dog is when they're like, ripped
yoked.
and shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah, super yoked out. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have to be muscular for sure, but there's just a slight difference, and that's where you learn dogs. You learn there's the game looking dogs, there's show dogs, and then there's bullies, that which would be overdone. So the dogs that are bullier, more chato, like bigger heads, more bone, a little bit heavier, bigger than the standard, than what the actual standard is.
Yeah.
So that's how the American bully got created too.
Mm. Yeah. So you're going to the dog shows. You're winning. You're absorbing game. I love that you said that too. A lot of people don't realize that sometimes you just need to ask for what I mean, pick somebody's brain real quick. Like, hey, what's going on here? And you might get shot down, but sometimes they'll give you some knowledge. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh shit, I didn't know that. How important was that for you to just absorb game?
Yeah, bro. I wanted to, well, yeah, like basically, I wanted to not only compete but to beat these people, and yeah, I just basically, like you said, man, if you don't ask, you won't know, man. I asked like, what do you? Because she had a dog, man, and he had so much muscle, and I was like, how did you know he was gonna look like this, and why does he look like this? And so
Mhm.
she told me, and this is how ended up picking my dog Chucky. She told me, when you see a dog, when you um, are picking a dog, the way you see that dog, and I'm giving up big game right here, bro, big game. So whoever's paying attention, man, the way you see that dog at 4 weeks and 8 weeks, but pretty much 4 weeks is how that dog's gonna look when it's full grown.
Mhm.
Now that's saying that it's healthy 100% or almost, like
Yeah.
good diet and everything was normal, everything's cool. So when she told me that, because she told me when she picked Magnum, she saw him and she saw that muscle tone, and she's like, man, if he looks like this right now, he's gonna look amazing once he's full
Straight
grown,
beast.
especially
Yeah.
eating good and in like the supplements. So I would give my dog. There was some stuff, and this I'll learn from her and from George, like Showstopper, which is like a protein powder, and then I would use Solid Gold products. They had different things, so I gave them extra vitamins, and it kept kept them healthy, bro. People, like I said, I people ended up having their own mixtures, like things called satin balls, and then there's like now you can find like this bully. There's a bully brand. They make special dog food and supplements. There's all kinds of products, bro. But it's legit. It works. Like it's just like anything else. If we take extra vitamins and supplements, it's only gonna help.
Yeah.
So, and at the time I could afford it though, because it is expensive. So at that time I was blessed to be able to um not only put my time and effort into the dogs, but I could afford it. And then the cool thing too is that the family was behind me. Like the the ex-wife was down, um, and she was learning as well. She started learning and started, helping. We did everything together, and then my kids too, because my kids would help me clean. and so that was how they got their allowance. So if they did their job cleaning and feeding when I couldn't because I was at work, then I'll chip them up, and then they would help with the litters, and then they would get more money. So it was a blessing, man. Like I bought my house with the first litter that I ever had, bro.
Oh, dope.
I used the money to do the closing costs.
So let's get into that. But before we do, I just want to. I'm very curious, and I don't want to miss this question. Are your kids? Are they still like dog lovers? Because
Yeah, man, for sure, bro. Definitely. They don't have any bullies right now because uh, my daughter's got a little poodle. Like we love all dogs, you know.
yeah,
Like I've had Chihuahua and all that too, but yeah, no, they love animals, bro. That's for sure.
that's
For
dope.
sure. But yeah, they
So
did. They all had their own dogs, and my daughter, at one point, when she was 14, she was like the number three handler. She was in the top 10. I don't remember exactly, but I know she was in the top 10 for her age in all UKC. And she won with my dog Baby at the Nationals up against 40 dogs, bro.
oh damn.
Two times, and she won. Yeah, I let her handle, and she handled it.
That's dope. That's dope. And you know, right here we're all about growth, and we're all about game and knowledge. So I want to know. Tell us more about how you bought a house with your litter. Like that's very interesting, and I think that's something that should be commended. Congratulations on that, because that's dope. That's something that a lot of people wouldn't expect. So how did you do that?
Thank you, man. Yeah, so as I grew in the game, so here's where everything kind of uh started with the bullies, man. Like the American bully, for people who don't know, this is how it evolved. So everything I told you about those shows, right? At that same time, right? So I get into the club, I start going. Well, there was already people that would go, and I'd seen them here and there, and I met a few. Richard Alvarado, he's an OG. Richard Barajas, Cassidy from Razor's Edge, and the reason I ended up meeting a lot of these people is because when they would come to the shows, they had basically what became the American bully. So they had like what I had originally started with a bully with dogs with bigger heads, wide, short, like one of the baddest dogs I ever seen, bro. I seen him in Central Cali. His name was Cuauhtemoc.
Oh shit.
And he had like a 25-inch head, black and white, low to the ground, like 15 inches. He was bad, man. Anybody from back in the days will know what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about 20 years ago, man, 22 years ago.
Yeah.
But so the bullies have been around. They've always been in the hoods. They just didn't have that name.
Yeah.
The official name American Bully. So as these people would come, at the time, I was the sergeant at arms. So they're like, Arturo, you need to go talk to them and tell them they either need to come and join the show, or they gotta go, or they can't be using chains and harnesses, and the dogs they can't be facing off, because homies would come and to show their dogs, but they would face them off. And
Got to show dominance. It's crazy because it's kind of a cultural thing, right? Like, and it's crazy because the dogs pick up on that shit too.
So, bro, and it's a trip because so I would be in the middle, and I'd be like, I understand the homies. I understand they don't mean anything bad. They're not trying to. These dogs aren't fighting dogs. No way. These are like their babies.
Yeah.
But it's like you said. And the other thing too was just like education thing, bro. Most of them had harnesses. Most of them would let their dogs pull them down the street. Never taught the dog, nah, man, you follow me. And so I got really blessed in that sense that I learned right away from George. George, like I said, George Luna Kennels, he might be coming back around. But yeah, that Vato I want to say real quick too. I call him my sensei. That's who taught me how to show dogs, man.
That's what's up.
And that dude right there, yeah, he's the man, bro. And like I said, I feel blessed, bro. He taught me, and it took me 2 years to champ out my dog, man. But I ended up championing out a lot of dogs, having grand champions, and all my students, the people that I have trained who learned under me, all have grand champions, have won best in shows, have just killed it, bro, because of what I learned, and I was able to pass it on to other people, and it's just proven, bro.
So that's dope. That's dope. So I want to go back to those shows where you're educating them. How do you approach that? Because I know at that point, and I don't mean this in a bad way because I've been there, right? But
Yeah,
when you like are at a show, you basically, you know, when you're a homie, you're gonna want to show out, right? It's like, man, this is my fucking dog. My dog's the shit, right? So it's a lot of
yeah.
testosterone flowing, a lot of ego going on there. And then the dog is ramped up. The dog feels that shit. He's all amped up about that too. How do you approach that, and how do you calm that down, and how do you educate the homie, let them know like, hey, this is because you can't tell them like you want this wrong, get out of here. Like you gotta tell them in a very specific way. How'd you go about doing that?
I believe, man, that with respect, bro, with respect, I believe that that just had a lot to do with it, bro. My approach and being respectful, and then I don't know, maybe I know I know it helped that they could relate with me more
Yeah,
than a lot of the people that were in the club. Other than the Southern Cali club, which, like I said, Barbara, she was from, I believe, man, either Pomona or East LA. George was from East LA. Like like the Raza there were all, from barrios, but most people were already in their 40s, and they were just, they didn't talk about the neighborhood too much. I would hear little things here and there, but they were from the hood, so they
yeah,
were cool. But they still didn't have the look anymore or anything, but I did. So I believe that helped. And then like I said, I would just approach it on the positive side. Like, and even in educating, like you said, it's very tricky because, I had people get offended, bro. And, but really more so when I became a judge. When I became a judge and I started judging shows, the bully shows, and bro, you got a vato who doesn't win, and then you got people saying stuff to him, and then egos, and then alcohol. Oh, bro. But you know what? Um, Having a positive, um it's your mentality too, bro. I would never feed off of the negative,
yeah.
and I always just held my ground, bro. And it's like, it's called like command presence. It's the same thing with the dogs, bro. It's just having that, holding yourself like you got the authority because you're the one in that position. So it's like, hey, I'm just doing what I need to do right now.
Yeah, it's like respect what I'm doing. Like I'm not going to your pad telling you what to do. This is where I'm
Yeah,
operating right now, and this is what it is.
yeah, yeah.
Dope, dope. So how'd you become a judge? Was it because of the grand champions you had, and they knew like, oh, this Vato knows what he's doing?
Yeah, bro. So the first registry that had me become a judge was the ABKC, the American Bully Kennel Club. It was originally at that time owned by Adrian and Alfredo, and um, and then also Dave Wilson and some other people. But yeah, yeah, I developed, a reputation in the show ring on the UKC side, and then the American Bully shows started. Again, it ties into what I was saying, how when the people from the neighborhoods or from the bully kennels, the bully breeders that were already at that time existing before me, which was like Dago Kennels, Razor's Edge, West Side Kennels, which is Richard Barajas, but he's also known as Gotti Line. Who else was there? There was Mad Latin, which was back east. There's more that'll come to mind as I remember, but these guys wanted to start having. Well, what happened was is there was barbecues,
Mm.
but the barbecues didn't do much because everybody was just chilling having barbecue. It was cool. It brought people from all different neighborhoods, from north and south, bro, together, dog, like straight up. There was never, at least when I was around, there was never no drama, no problems. Everybody was there for the love of the dogs, trip out on each other's dogs, do business. But then they wanted to take it to the next level, So we started having fun shows. And anyways, making a long story short, Dave, Adrian Alfredo, and a few people, they started the ABKC. And another friend of mine was involved at the time too. Started the American Bully Kennel Club and started having shows. And when they did that, they enlisted a few people. And Dave called me, asked me, well, first Adrian and Alfredo, and then I talked to Dave. And they asked me to be a judge. And yeah, it was because I was, they knew I was a good handler and I could show, but also because I was involved with the people at the time and in the whole movement. There was another person involved that actually threw the first show at the Pomona Fairgrounds in 2004.
Hmm.
And that's really was like the very first official show for the American Bully.
Oh shit, that's dope. So that's the first one dedicated to that breed.
Well, yeah, pretty much, bro. It was put together to have something official for the American Bully, and it was a trip because it was just put together and it was cool, man. I was a part of it, and but a lot of people don't know that show. I believe a dog named the Hulk won. And then I know Eddie from Blue Line, that's my homie too. He was around also. That's a kennel that was already around. Tiffany from Able Paws. But anyways, I think it was one of Eddie's dogs, Jalisco. Man, I don't. It's been so long, bro. But I know he was there. But anyways, the judges, they had to put judges together because they, like we knew what we were doing, but then they kind of wanted to do it a little different. So it was my ex-wife, Rosemary from Karma Kennels, Tiffany from Able Paws, and no, I mean it wasn't it was Dispensa, not my ex-wife, but Tilo from Ruckus Kennels. Ruckus Kennels was another old school breeder. His wife Maria. So it was Maria, Ruckus, Tiffany from Able Paws, and Rosemary. They were the judges, and they ended up picking, like I said, those dogs. But it was a pretty dope event, bro. There's an old school video of it. DVD. I'm not a DVD. A VHS, bro.
Oh
I don't know
shit.
if they've put it on DVD. But anyway, so that's how that started, man.
I wonder if there's any old school ones with reels and shit. Like fucking for dog shows. That'd be a trip. I'm pretty sure there are, because
Yeah,
dog shows been going on
yeah,
for generations and shit.
they go way back, bro, for sure. There's definitely some real old school shit.
Yeah, so fucking so you got the dog show going. One thing I wanted to ask, right? Because I don't want to forget this. It's the importance of how you breed a dog. And I know a lot of people want to take shortcuts. And how important is it for you to breed with somebody outside of your dog's family?
So check this out, okay? And I just remembered too, to answer because you had asked me about the house.
Oh yes,
So
yes.
so when I bought the house, the money that I used was from the puppies, and I was able to do that because at that time, I I took my time, I waited, but since I was showing, I was doing things with the dogs, I was building my reputation at the time. We had um I think I was already advertising back then. It was MySpace,
Mm.
and then we had a web page on AOL. My homeboy made me one, so I had a web page, and I started trying to be like these other bigger kennels that were already had websites, and so I did. And so when I had that litter, man, I had it was 8 puppies or no, 9 puppies. I kept one, and we sold the 8, and it averaged to about $1,000 a puppy. So at the end, I had like 8,000.
You know, all of them
And
survived
oh yeah, bro.
because they're champions. That's
They
crazy.
survived and they lived a long time, bro. Yeah, like 2 of them went to the East Coast. Like I kept in touch. That's another thing too, man. Like I always man, I never really called myself a breeder. I was real careful when I would say that because I didn't breed as much as I could have or as other people would do because like I said, to me it was always more of a passion.
Hmm.
But for some people it's their business
Yeah.
and they make a lot of money. But that's different. It's different. And there's nothing wrong with that, because they spend a lot of money on the dogs too, and the dogs are treated well. So, but it's just different, it's different. But yeah, I was able to sell the dogs. They all went to good homes. I kept in touch with all the people as long for years, and yeah, I mean, it helped me pay the closing costs, and it was a blessing, man. So I always looked at it as like my dogs would always break even. They would pay for themselves, like either later on with stud fees, which is another thing. You don't have to have puppies. If you have a badass stud, people will bring their females to you, and you make money letting your dog do his thing.
Yeah,
Or now they do a lot of insemination, or they've been doing that, but I always just did old school, natural.
that's a trip, man. That's a trip. So fucking but that's dope, man. So you were able to take your passion and use it to buy a house. Are you still in that home?
Nah, brother. Unfortunately, man, got divorced, so had to sell the house, dog. That's a whole nother story. At the time, bro, I had like 12 dogs, bro, 12 adult dogs, my pad, the rides, I had two 6'4s. I had a lot. I was blessed, bro. I've had a blessed life, man. I can't complain. I don't have it right now, but I'm rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rebuilding. All my dogs passed from old age. So I kept a lot of them. And I'm starting over. I have Popcorn is the granddaughter to one of my shorty bulls, and then I have the granddaughter to one of my other dogs too. So
So
I still got my bloodline.
is it important to not breed within that bloodline? Because I heard that can bring some kind of
Line
damn.
breeding, yeah, they call it line breeding or inbreeding. It depends what you're doing, bro. That's where you have to, man. That's where like the one thing, man, if people are not aware, the dog world is just vast. It's huge. You can get into so many aspects of it. And so there's people who breed and they won't breed with your dog. So there's like hip certification. So they'll be like, you know what, if you want to breed with my dog, you need to go get your dog OFA cleared, and I want to see the tests on the hips. And because if you don't breed them right, you can get bad hips and this and that. There's people who base everything on color or size. They want the dog to be short and stocky.
I've seen that too, where the dogs do look like they have bad hips, like the smaller ones, especially the smaller bullies, where it looks
Yeah.
like they're kind of struggling to walk and shit because there's too. So I have seen that. That's a trip.
So yeah, brother, that's a whole nother topic, man. Like, so I come from, so I was uh, unique in the sense that I was in both worlds, but mainly the show world. Even though I had bullies and I got into Gray Line and Razor's Edge and bully dogs, I still always had my show dogs and super clean bullies too. But yeah, it evolved into right now it's called the exotic. So the exotic is what you're talking about. A lot of those dogs they wheel them around in little wagons, or they carry them and they put them on tables. Not all of them though. They have healthy ones. They have good ones. It just depends. But that's like what's in right now. Um, my thing, and that's the cool thing is that there's all aspects. There's
Yeah.
people that like the XLs, bro, the extra large. I really didn't even know, man, that that's been booming. My boy Eddie from Blue Line, like I said, shout him out. He's doing his thing, and I didn't even know, and he's been doing this thing for years, bro. And so he's been doing it for 20 some years, bro. He's got pictures and videos of all his dogs, I'm sure from back in the day, and there's a lot of people, bro, up in all in California that they've been doing it for a minute, you know.
That's dope. That's dope. So one thing you brought up, and I do want to ask this because I know it's important for every owner, and you grow that bond and that attachment. How was it for you for the first time you lost one of your dogs?
Oh, bro. Yeah, yeah, you're a good interviewer, dog.
Appreciate that.
So
Thanks, G.
Yeah, bro. Dog. So the first one, and it still hurts me, bro. So I had a dog I produced from that litter, that same litter that I was able to get my pad with. I kept the pig female, and her name was Big Mama,
Hmm.
and she was a bad little dog, bro. And she won a gang of times. Like I only got to show her because she ended up passing that before she hit like a year. She was like 11 months.
Damn.
But yeah, brother, it sucks, bro. Like when you spend time with your dog and you build a bond, bro, and they're like family, brother. So yeah, man, it's part of the dog game though. It's like part of life, and I told my kids when we got into the dogs that uh that is a downside to being a pet owner. You're gonna deal with them passing sooner or later, but that's life, bro. We all gotta
Yeah.
go at some time, bro.
That's true. That's
So
something that I'm not looking forward to. I have a dog. We've had her for. It's like my first real dog too. You know what I mean? Like we've had her for maybe 11 years, and I just think
yeah,
like, damn, she's on the clock. Like she's not gonna live as
yeah,
long as I am, right?
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
just like, man, like that's fucked up. What are we gonna do? But you're right. It is part of life, and it's something that we are gonna have to go through ourselves one day.
yeah, bro. And you know what everybody has, their own beliefs and all that, but you know what I tell people, bro, what I learned in our cultura, from what I remember reading, studying a little bit on, from the Mexica and from our ancestors, that the dog, because the Cholos Quincle, bro, they had them, bro. They had those from way back in the day, dog.
Yeah,
And that the dog waits for you on the other side, bro, and walks with you as you travel to your next to
guides you.
your
Yeah,
yeah, guides you to the next journey, to the next level. So I always tell people, you know what, hey, he'll be waiting for you, man, on the other side.
that's dope.
And animals, dogs, bro, dogs are very unique to all the other animals. Like I was listening to DMX break it down, and DMX was saying, you know, not that I would do this, but he's like, you could kick your dog, you could beat your dog, go to the store, come back, and that dog is right there just waiting for you,
Yeah.
forgives you instantly. Like he'll forget about it in a second. That's unconditional love, bro. No, there's no animals that do that, bro.
Yeah, no, dogs are something else. Like you said, you could be in a bad mood. The dog, like, they'll look at you and they'll be like, they'll see it and they're gonna come up to you like, "What's wrong?" It's weird. You know what I mean? Like, "You all right, man?" And then
Yeah, bro.
sometimes it makes you feel better. Like, "Yeah, hey, thanks." Like somebody gives a shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah, definitely. No, definitely. And like you said, they feel vibes too. They feel when people are nervous or when they're scared or something's wrong. They know if you're sad, bro.
that's a trip, man.
They know, brother. Yeah, for sure.
Damn.
But yeah,
Go ahead, my
oh,
bad.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, dog.
No, finish the thought. Go ahead. My bad, G.
Oh no, I was gonna say, yeah. So part of I also wanted to say too with how you asked me about the training and the preparation. So on what we were talking about right now on this note. So yeah, so a lot of the training, bro, with the dogs is also what I learned from George is that um you just gotta like you know dominate that dog, but a lot of it, believe it or not, bro, is mental, dog.
Hmm.
Like, and the dogs know it. You know what I'm saying? Like the dogs can sense, like how people say horses can sense a lot of things.
Yeah.
Animals, bro, animals, I believe 100%, bro. No, everything with the frequency, with vibes, they can sense it, dog. And so they know too. They know if you want to hurt them. They know. Look, bro. Let me explain to you like this. This is how I guess I can explain it easier, and hopefully it doesn't happen. But yeah, I have yet to be bit by a dog. Now, mind you, I'm walking up to a dog I have never met in my life, and I'm putting my hands on his muzzle. I'm looking at his teeth. I'm grabbing his whole body. I'm grabbing his junk, and I have not been bit yet. A lot of judges get bit, but a lot of it has to do with your presence.
Yeah.
Like in law enforcement, they call it command presence. Like when you get to a scene, you got to control the scene. It doesn't mean you're a jerk, but you control what's going on. Like one person speaks at a time.
Yeah.
You know, you stay here, everybody stays right here. Okay, one person at a time. That's it. And so it's the same thing with the dog. Like when you get that dog or when you go to handle. So what I would do too a lot of times is I would tell the owner if I could see the dog was a little nervous or the dog was thinking about biting me or whatever, I would just tell, can you hold the dog or relax? And I'll tell the same thing, just like what you said to the vibe. I'll tell the owner, hey, relax, man, chill, because your dog can feel it.
Yeah.
Your dog's nervous because you're nervous. Just chill, tell him he's cool, and then boom, right away you see the tail start wagging. There you go, boom, and you make it fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what it is. When you train a dog, it's dogs go off of routine and they go off of fun. You make
Yeah.
something fun for them.
That's a trip. That's dope as fuck though, because it's true. Like you're taking it serious and you're nervous because you know there's stakes behind it. The dog just wants to have a good time. The dog wants to please the owner, and if the owner is nervous, then the dog's like, "Whoa, what's going on?" You're so fucking right. That's a trip, man.
Yeah, bro. And you know the cool thing, man, the one thing that I'll say that the thing that's made me the happiest in all these years is the kids, bro. So when we started having these shows, we started having kids with pits.
Mhm.
And bro, like at the last time I did, they made me judge in Tijuana, bro. And there was these two little guys, bro. They were like 7, 8 years old. And you know, the one thing, man, I'll say about in Mexico, bro, when you go to the shows, everybody comes to the show. Let's say you're breeding, you know, or let's say me, like I'm breeding, I'm gonna go to the show. Man, abuelita comes, tia comes, they come deep, bro. Like you have the
Show
full
support, huh?
support. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
You have the because and you know in Mexico too, bro, the mascota, that's like the family too, bro. So of course, you know, they win a ribbon, they become a champ. It's a trip, bro. But I love it, bro.
That's
I've
dope.
I've been blessed to be all over um Mexico, you know, and experience all kinds of different raza.
That's dope,
And
man. That's fucking dope. And so let me ask, what are you up to now nowadays?
so I'm actually gonna judge in um in DF, bro, in Mexico City,
Oh, dope.
February 20, yeah, for the WBA, which is ran by WBA is the World Bully Association, owned by Oscar Gomez from Blue Pride Kennels. That's another shout out to the homie right there. He's from LA as well, I believe, and he's been around. He was around also um, before me or around the same time. He had a really nice dog named Chief. Well, he's had a lot of really nice dogs, but Chief was the one from way back in the day. And yeah, he asked me to come judge his show, so I'm gonna be heading out there. So I'm doing that, and then I do dog training also here locally in San Diego, off and on. And what I really want to do though is compete again, bro. And then also I'm gonna be judging some shows with the IBKC. We're just waiting to see what's coming up for this year, and that's the International Bully Kennel Club, owned by my homie Memo, and so I do a lot of things with them. Right now, we're just waiting to see because you know with COVID and I'm just waiting to hear. But I'm ready. I'm right here. That's what I do, and then also just work for myself, man. I do construction. I'm a waterproofer, so I do like concrete resurfacing and remodels, and it just depends.
That's dope. And another thing I wanted to ask now, before I forget, when it comes to that, how much has changed? You said before at the very beginning of the interview that most of the dogs that were winning grand champions and were becoming champions were from California. Is that the same, or has it spread out all throughout the country? And now you said even Mexico, throughout the world.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. There's depending on the registry. Shoot, can you hold for 1 second, Javier?
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So with the champions, definitely, man. And then also like how you were saying with we were talking about the new type of dogs. So that's the cool thing about the dogs is that you know there's just so many different aspects. So I'm not against anybody's style or movement, but and then that was back to like what I was saying with Eddie from Blue Line. So Eddie had the Excel dogs, which are the extra large, the taller, more old school looking.
Yeah.
And then the exotics are those new little ones that we were talking about. And then you have the standard um, American Bully, which is what you would consider the show dog, which is the it meets the standard for the most part. It might be
Yeah.
a little um, for so the American Bully is bullier than let's say a pit bull in UKC.
Mm.
But so there's categories to it, and then there's the pocket. So the pocket are like the mini ones.
Yeah.
So, um, and then what ended up happening is with the ABKC, the IBKC, WBA, all these registries, um, they also incorporate the English bulldog, the French bulldog, and
Mm.
sometimes even the American bulldog, like pretty much the variety of the spectrum.
Dope, dope. And for any youngster out there that has a passion for dogs and is thinking about either raising show dogs or breeding, what kind of advice would you give them?
Man, well, yeah, it just depends on what they if they don't know yet as far as um the type of dog. So let's say because some people they want the dog, they want to be able to walk it and take it out and do things, be active with it. So you would I would say you want to get a standard American Bully or a pocket. It just depends too, like where you live, like how much room you have and things like that. Like, and if you're gonna get a dog too, you got to keep in mind you got to have money for food and things like that. So if all that's in play, then they could either look up local breeders. Um, Again, if they want to get into the game, then you want to get a dog with a pedigree that you're going to breed. If you just want a pet, then you can also either go to shelters or local breeders because a lot of local breeders will sell you a pet quality. So you can get basically a really expensive, normally expensive, good quality dog for a very affordable price because a lot of times breeders just want a good home
Yeah.
and you can get a badass dog. But people don't know because people just think all breeders are bad or and it's the total opposite, man. Like real true breeders and the people that deal with the bully world and the show world, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's backyard breeders, there's people who breed for money, but 9 out of 10, most of those people aren't affiliated with people who do the shows and show dogs. It's just a different world.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And before we wrap it up, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just man, if you haven't been to a dog show or I don't know, I know on they had it on New Year's, the AKC show. I think that's one of the only ones that they show on TV. But nah, man, just I appreciate the time and the interest and yeah, if you like animals, especially dogs, showing dogs can be a fun hobby, and you can have fun, you could bless people and just have a good time, be around animals. It's just I don't know, it's it's something that once you experience, like a lot of people they get hooked, they go and especially if they win, if they compete and they win, then
Yeah.
you always want to keep winning.
Definitely. Definitely. And if anyone wants to follow you, I put your Instagram and your Facebook on the top here. So Southtown SD on Instagram and Facebook. That's how they can reach you, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your time and your knowledge, G.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. No problem, man.
Yeah, man.
Anytime, bro. Anytime.
Appreciate that. And much love to the Nasty Crew. Much love to all my YA babies. And with that, we out. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah. So we had to bring the homie back because when we ended the interview, there were a few things we left out and shit. So I want to let the homie make sure he covers everything. So brought him back. Go ahead, G. Let him know.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank you, Incredible Javier, for having me on here for the interview. Appreciate it, man. I made a comment during the interview that you were a good, you were a good interviewer, because when you hit me with that question about losing my dog, man, I had to I got choked up and had to maintain, bro. I was thinking about that movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. where he said he wasn't gonna cry on the interview.
Yeah.
Real talk, bro, because like we spoke, because our pets are so close to us. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But so I want to thank you, man. First and foremost, thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it. And I just want to give a thanks to my kids, Angel, Arturo, and Victor. Shout them out for all their help all the years with the dogs and supporting me always. Memo from the IBKC, International Bully Kennel Club, who I judge for as well. Julio, Southern Cali Blues, Oscar from WBA, and I'm still judging. I'm a judge for most of the American Bully registries that are around, including the two that I mentioned. And I also do personal dog training for handling, basic obedience, and mainly show. But I specialize in American bullies and bullies, but I work with all breeds and any breed here in San Diego. You can always contact me. I also have a nonprofit where I bring the bullies and any kind of animal, trained animal, to people for therapy and just to educate them on the pet industry and the jobs and just the hobbies and just different things. Not all kids are gonna play sports or are gonna be good at sports or good at traditional hobbies or sports. So dog showing and dog handling is something that a lot of people still don't know about, and it's worldwide. So anyways, again, it's Southtown SD on social media. My name is Arturo. I'm original American Bully judge. And again, Southtown SD on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, Javier, and thank you, everybody. If I didn't mention you, thank you. You know who you are for helping me out all these years.
I just want to thank you, G, for sharing your time and knowledge, and the dope conversation. Appreciate it, G.
Well, anytime, bro. Anytime. Just let me know.
Yes, sir. Much love to the Nasty Crew. Much love to all my YA babies. And with that, we out. Peace.